Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Repeateron, and today we're going to be doing another bracket fight of the Killing Floor 2 weapons. This time we're going to be taking a look at Gunslinger's weapons. For this, I'm going to be discussing how good the weapon is, what it can do, and I'm going to not be factoring in healing as much for my rankings. So weapons like the medic pistol in this case will not get really high ratings because it can heal allies. So our first fight right here is between the Centerfire and the grenade pistol. These are both cross-perk weapons for Gunslinger. The Centerfire has much longer effective range than the grenade pistol does. You can definitely hit targets much easier at anything from medium to long range with the Centerfire. Centerfire works really well at close range. Both these weapons have to be reloaded one round at a time, so reload speed is a little bit low on each of these. You do have better sights, I guess, with the Centerfire, although you don't necessarily need to use the sights of the grenade pistol because you're likely going to be shooting enemies at close range. The grenade pistol does hit harder per shot because you have multiple pellets hitting the enemy that all trigger explosion damage, and both these weapons scale incredibly well with upgrades. They both also almost weigh the same amount. The Centerfire weighs 5, the grenade pistol weighs 4, and they will reach the same max weight when they're fully upgraded. For ammo, you do get more shots with the Centerfire, and it's generally a weapon that you're going to have more ammo with than the grenade pistol. In most cases, the grenade pistol, though, on Gunslinger can be pretty good for taking down flesh pounds. If you have the infinite ammo Z time ability at level 25, you also have unlimited shots with the grenade pistol because you never need to reload it, which is a pretty cool ability. For this one, I'm going to go with the Centerfire. I think the Centerfire is a better overall weapon than the grenade pistol is, but the grenade pistol is a pretty decent weapon on Gunslinger. Up next, we have the Rhinos versus the 2011s. I should also say that all of these weapons were completely randomly selected, so if you're wondering why I pitted these weapons against one another, I actually didn't. I just uploaded all the images and then they just randomly assorted here, so that's just how they came out. So the Rhinos are an interesting weapon. They have pretty low recoil, they shoot fairly fast, and their projectiles kind of splinter out into multiple rounds. They act sort of like a shotgun a little bit, or I guess more like the nail gun because the ammunition can bounce, which is pretty good. They do okay damage. They have okay scaling. They're all around an okay weapon. I do like the sights on them. The sights are actually quite good because you can aim down sights with dual of these pretty easily if you just aim down the one. It's not hard to line up your shots then. The 2011s have higher DPS than the Rhino, assuming you don't get some really weird lucky shots with the fracturing rounds that might hit multiple small things or something, but in general the 2011s will be able to out DPS them. I think they do less damage per shot, although these do fire out 2 shots with each shot, so that can be good. That also means that you're going to be racking up, the rack 'em up skill twice as fast, because you can hit with 2 headshots. You can also get some weird splits on these two where you can potentially kill 2 small Zeds with the same shot if they're close enough together and the bullets decide to kind of split off and hit them. The 2011s scale decently well with upgrades as well. I guess it's whether you want more damage per shot or more damage per second. I think the more damage per second helps out Gunslinger because you could just rack them up faster and then even have more damage per second, and your damage per shot doesn't matter as much. But the Rhinos are a pretty good weapon overall too for Gunslinger. Alright, we have the 1911 versus the medic pistol. Now, the 1911 weighs more than the medic pistol. I guess it weighs technically double if you're just counting 1, or it weighs 4 weight if you're counting 2. The 1911 will hit harder than the medic pistol. You get less shots with the 1911 though, although with 2 of them, then it's pretty equal to the amount of shots that you get with the medic pistol. I believe you can fire these both about as fast as one another. I can't remember if the 1911 is a little bit quicker or the medic pistol is a little bit quicker. The medic pistol has nicer sights on it. Medic pistol also, I believe, has less recoil, although the 1911 doesn't have that much recoil. If I was factoring in utility as well, the medic pistol would be an easy winner here. Lower weight as well as the ability to heal, that's a big deal. But if I was just stuck with one of these and I could upgrade them fully, I think I'd rather go with dual 1911s than I would one medic pistol. Alright, up next we got the Winter Bites versus the Glock 18s. The Winter Bites are an interesting weapon. They count as freezing damage as well as explosive damage. That's why Siren's Screams can actually stop the Winter Bites from triggering, interestingly enough. The Winter Bites move slower, at least bullet-wise, than the Glock 18s do. The Winter Bites will hit harder per shot, but the Glock 18s are going to do way higher DPS because they have such a high rate of fire. The Glock 18s weigh more than the Winter Bites. They weigh, I believe, 8 together, and then they can go up to 10 if you upgrade them. Whereas the Winter Bites are 4, and I think they go up to 8 with full upgrades. I could be wrong about that. You can freeze enemies, which is a pretty big bonus for the winter bites. So between these two, I think I would give it to the Glock 18s. I'd rather have Glock 18s than winter bites, although winter bites are a really good backup weapon and a really good weapon to use if you just hop into the middle of a game. The Glock 18, one Glock 18 is actually really good to have on pretty much any loadout because it is essentially a submachine gun that you got, and it works really well on all the small and medium Zeds and even up to the big Zeds. Two Glock 18s can shred through just about everything in this game without that much trouble. I mean, they actually can shred through pretty much everything in this game without that much trouble. So I'm going to give it to them. Alright, the Centerfire or the 2011s. The Centerfire will do more damage per shot. The Centerfire has longer effective range. The 2011s do reload pretty fast. They fire out 2 bullets per shot, so you can rack them up faster, which can be nice. I believe you can out DPS the Centerfire with the 2011s. You can probably more consistently do it if we're counting reloads, although you can kill enemies very fast with just the Centerfire. I think I'd give this one to the 2011s, but just barely. And I could easily see myself picking the Centerfire over it. I think I like the Centerfire more than the 2011s, but I think the 2011s win here. Alright, 1911 or Glock 18s. The 1911s do have more damage per shot. However, they have much less rate of fire than the Glock 18s. The 1911 does have less recoil per shot, though, or at least less recoil overall. Not necessarily less recoil per shot, it's just the Glocks are firing so fast that it's much more noticeable. Glock 18 scales well with an upgrade. The 1911 scale pretty decently with their upgrade. I think I'm going to give this one to the Glocks, though. The Glocks pretty much beat the 1911 in really any practical fight. 2011s or Glock 18s. Both these weapons do very high DPS. Both these weapons can fire out bullets very quickly. The 2011s will do more damage per shot, I believe, than the Glock 18s, but not by too much. And the Glock 18s will do more damage per second than the 2011s will. The 2011s are slightly less weight, which is a bonus for them, and they do scale slightly better with upgrades. I still don't think that they really compete with the Glock 18s just monster rate of fire. So I think I'm going to give this one to the Glock 18 as well. Alright, the Spitfire versus the Deagles. So the Spitfires are cross-perk weapons with Firebug. They do good damage per shot. They can spawn fires on the ground as well as light any enemy on fire that you hit directly with them. They scale really well with upgrades. They don't weigh very much either or cost very much, so they're pretty effective at killing any sort of small enemies like crawlers, clots, anything like that. The Deagles have much more damage per shot. They have a really high rate of fire for what you actually get from them. Now with the rate of fire, you're likely not going to be firing it as fast as you can because it's a little bit harder to control. They do have a decent amount of recoil to them, even with max recoil reduction from Gunslinger. They still are a little bit harder to control. The Deagles will hold more shots in them by 2, I believe. The Deagles also weigh the same as the Spitfires, and I think they actually go up to the same amount of weight if they're fully upgraded. Neither one of these has great sights. I would say the Spitfire has better sights than the Deagle if you're interested in using them. You do get higher damage and higher DPS with the Deagle, though, and I think I'd rather go with the Deagles over the Spitfires in most situations for Firebug. Or, I mean, in most situations for Gunslinger. In Firebug, probably Spitfires, but Deagles wouldn't actually be a bad choice there. 500 Magnums versus the Winchester. Winchester will weigh less than the 500 Magnums, at least 2 of them. The 500 Magnums will do more damage per shot, although I don't think they actually do as much damage per shot if they're fully upgraded and the Winchester is fully upgraded. I think the Winchester will outdamage them then. The Winchester has better sights than the 500 Magnums do. Even though the 500 Magnums aren't too bad considering the other handguns. You can reload faster with the 500 Magnums because you reload all the shots rather than just reloading one shot at a time with the Winchester. Both of these weapons are pretty good on Gunslinger, and I really enjoy using both of them. But I think I would give this one to the 500 Magnum over the Winchester. And then we have the 1858 moving on because it's the only thing there. Ooh, here's a real fight. The Deagles or the 500 Magnum. This one I can easily see people being split on either way. Personally, I like the 500 Magnums more than the Desert Eagle, but the Desert Eagles may statistically be better. It kind of depends on if you're looking at them in terms of just raw numbers or in terms of practical use in-game. Because the Deagles can fire faster, they do have good damage per hit, they scale really well with upgrades, they get to the same weight, I think, as the 500 Magnums. The 500 magnums will do more damage, and the 500 magnums are generally better at longer ranges, I find, because the Desert Eagle sights aren't way great. The 500 magnums are a bit better. Both these weapons reload pretty fast. Desert Eagles do reload quicker, I would say. I think you get about the same amount of total ammo with both of them, though. Like I said, I think I like the 500 magnums a little bit better than the Desert Eagles, but I think I'm more inclined to pick the Desert Eagles over the 500 magnums. But that's very, very close. Both those weapons are really good. And then we have the Desert Eagles versus the 1858 revolver. So the 1858 revolver is the starting weapon. It holds 6 shots or 12 shots, depending on if you have 1 or 2. They deal pretty good damage. They scale pretty well with upgrades. They're overall a pretty decent weapon and everything for Gunslinger, especially for a starting weapon, and they're a great weapon to pick up off the ground because they're so lightweight. However, they're not going to beat the Desert Eagle in most situations. Desert Eagles can reload faster, they can shoot faster, so I'm pretty inclined to just go with the Desert Eagles. And then our last matchup here is the Desert Eagles or the Glock 18s. This is another very tough matchup because these are also considered pretty much top tier weapons for Gunslinger. The Desert Eagles will do more damage per shot, they can shoot fast, and they have a decent magazine. The Glock 18s have a much larger magazine, but you're going to go through it faster because of the higher rate of fire. They are better against smaller enemies because you do have a high rate of fire. Both do really well against small enemies, both do really well against large enemies. Desert Eagle largely does quite well against small enemies because you can one-shot body shot a lot of small enemies, as well as it does have some penetration, so you can punch through smaller enemies, where you can't do that with the Glock 18, but the Glock 18 is going to shred through small enemies and make headshots pretty easy for you. Glock 18s do weigh a little bit more than the Desert Eagle, which is maybe a downside. It depends what you want to pair them with. You can pair both these weapons together if you want dual Glocks and dual Deagles. That's a pretty strong combination. For this, I honestly think I'm going to pick the Glocks over the Deagles, although this is really close. And there's been a lot of really close weapons here with Gunslinger. Gunslinger has a lot of really good weapons. Well, this was my list of Gunslinger weapons. I think next we're going to do Medic, and I think then we've done all of the classes going up to Survivalist, which that one should be really fun. Thank you guys so very much for watching this. I really do appreciate it. Special thanks to all the supporters of the channel. You can be on this board too if you become a member of the channel here on YouTube, or you can become a patron over on Patreon. All those are linked down in the description below. Whatever amount you donate to the channel, your name will be up here. I will update this list at the end of each month. Thanks everybody who does do that. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to all of you guys next time. Till then, stay cool, and bye!